Well, things are all looking rosy here at Manchester United at the minute, but our first season comes towards a difficult finish now. We've got an FA Cup quarter-final and our first real test of the competition before a tough run in the Premier League, which starts against Pep Guardiola's Spurs. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 115 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for two very big games, and we're also back in a race for a Champions League spot. It's basically 3 from 4, as Newcastle in 5th, realistically the closest side that can catch us. But you have a look at what's going on at the end of the season, and we've got a lot of tricky games. But, as we said earlier in the season, playing all those tough games away from home, maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because we have still not lost any other games this season other than away to a top half team. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on either side of the international break here, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Unfortunately, Vanderson will not be taking part. He has had more injuries since the turn of the year, and Guido is also out for this one, but they've got one player cup tied too. What I've got to show you though before we crack on is the schedule and the transfer window, because you were with me as we had disappointment away at Spurs and Liverpool, and since then it has been phenomenal. But it has been a really easy run of fixtures. We have not played any of the top teams bar West Ham, and that one was at home, which we managed to win. And aside from that, it's been all the bottom half teams. But we've still got to go away to Bournemouth. We've got to play the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, City and Spurs at home. So with these tough games coming up, it could yet go wrong. I should also mention as well, if something sounds or looks a little different today and you can't quite work out what, I broke my computer chair yesterday while recording a video. As a result, I'm now sitting on a garden chair, so please feel sympathy for me. That will hopefully only last a couple of days, but fingers crossed our good run will last longer, because since you were with me, it is 9 in a row, and it is against all of the teams we would expect to beat. A 2-0 win at home to West Ham with Demeter and Hodgkinson, before Demeter got a hat-trick in a 4-2 win against Fulham, Henry Ocon scoring the other one there. A 2-1 win away at Wolves, which was Carlos and Bass out with the goals, before a 5-1 win against Leicester. That was Taylor, Carlos, Guido, Demeter and Joel North in an FA Cup tie against a Championship team. A 4-1 win away at Stoke, Joel North with a brace after Bass out and Demeter had scored. A 2-1 win against the lowly Premier League side Charlton in the FA Cup, Joel North and Joe Taylor with the goals in that one. 4 for Demeter in a 4-0 win against Brentford. What a performance from him there, before a very big home win against Luton. Bottom of the league, I was trying to help them survive, but Joel North did not want that to happen. He scored in the 90th minute. And a 4-0 win at home to Leeds in midweek. Baysal with 2, De Buen and Demeter with 1. Very good news for our Premier League form, and not for today's FA Cup tie, particularly on the fitness front. We'll look at that in a minute. But I should also show you the end of the transfer window, because John Murtaugh's quest to sign average players continues. He let go, I don't think many people in the end. Stuart Reid was a goalkeeper out on loan who's not bad. The 21-year-old Scot, an international goalkeeper, he's gone off to the MLS for not much money. We'd mentioned João Diaz already, and a couple of youngsters out on loan. But coming into the club, 2 little youngsters, Scott Graham from Rangers, not great. Jora Bakor, not great from Ajax. And then crucially on deadline day, Juan Carlos Solis. He is basically the replacement for Vanderson, who is not fit and is going to leave at the end of the year. He's really average. 22 million quid, 2.5-star ability. He can't tackle, he can't cross. He's not brilliant defensively, he's not brilliant going forward. He's very good mentally and he's decent physically. He adds very little to the squad. He also isn't very tall. He also isn't very good on the ball. It continues the trend of short players who aren't technically brilliant. So to continue doing what we're doing, I'd argue is a bit of a miracle. Let's go and get through to the fixtures then. We have also had our youth intake, but probably the less said about that, the better in truth. One half-decent player, another right-back ironically. Leon Bolas is the man. He can play wing-back as well. He's determined, he might improve with training, but he's nowhere near ready for first-team level yet. And only 5'5", which doesn't add to our height at all. Nothing else that really stands out. The closest after that is 3-star potential. That's Paul Nicholson, who is 5'8", but again, a very promising personality, which is something we've maybe got to keep an eye on. For now though, we are going straight into the FA Cup quarter-final so I can show you the problems. If we get through it, we've got a chance because Palace play Arsenal, one of those are going to go out in the top half. Blackburn play West Ham, Peterborough play City. If the Championship sides manage to get a shock, well, I tell you what, it could be one hell of a semi-final. The problem we've got though is if we have a look at this screen, next to nobody is fit. Now, we had this against Newcastle in the League Cup earlier in the year and we still managed to get a result. We're going to have to rotate a lot. There is 2 weeks off after, so those who won't be international regulars may be involved. But we're going to have to rotate the team, and that means we're going to be pretty weak. Back in a moment to run through the 11. Well, here we go then. It is rotated this side, but I still feel it's fairly good, to be honest. We've not got much in terms of fitness on the bench, but we've brought the 2 youngsters in who you've seen a lot this season there. So Hunter and Walker are available off the bench. Solis and Jimenez also there too. The first 11 sees a number of changes. We made the regular one in goal with Finnegan coming in. Humphreys is in at right back alongside Simmons on the left. Clichin and Hervenhoff the centre halves. Carlos Cabadis the midfield 2. Demeter moves out to the right hand side. Taylor's on the left. Ocon moves forward to number 10. And Joel North is through the middle up front. We've got our 3 top scorers this season in the starting 11. At home that might be a big advantage. But if Newcastle get the first goal in this one, we could be in a world of trouble. Defensively, we're not at our best. Well, here we are, and if there's any positive to take, it's that Newcastle have played midweek in the Premier League as well. They've had to make 5 changes. The experienced Mark Guehi comes in. Our former player at Palace, Jorge Rodriguez, he comes in at right back as well. So there's a lot of familiarity in this team. I played Malloy once or twice, the striker for England as well, so I know the quality they've got. Let's just ask the lads to keep it going. At home this season, we have still not lost a game. We have still been remarkable all the time. But against those top sides, there have been a few draws. There have been a few days that are difficult. In front of a sold-out Old Trafford, if we could make it to Wembley in a semi-final, it would cap off what has probably been a very good season in my eyes. Back into Europe after their 14th place finish under Solskjaer, and a cup semi-final in the Carabao Cup, and hopefully one in the League Cup as well. Or sorry, in the FA Cup here. It is a competition I'm very fond of, as is the Europa League, which we might be back in next year. But I just want to take United back to the top step, and this is a gradual big one in that direction. As Simmons gets the ball back to Finnegan. 15 gone, not an awful lot happening so far. We're playing out from the back with Hervenhoff, and they're not pressing us too high. Maybe that's saving legs as well. As Ocon goes wide to Demeter, he loses the ball. It's a long one forward, but Hervenhoff intercepts. Good ball from Carlos out to Simmons, and Taylor takes it on left-hand side. Through ball towards Ocon. It's a brilliant one. Doesn't often play number 10, and he almost produces the finish. It's a brilliant run from Ocon, but he can't quite find that finishing touch. It stays 0-0 with 16 gone, but that is the first big chance of the match. So Newcastle straight up the other end. Guehi chips forward. Hervenhoff away. Demeter flicks out for a throw. You know what? Good performance so far. We just need to find the opener. Well, 5 minutes later, we're back and we've got the ball in goal again as Finnegan plays out to Simmons. He runs down the left with not much pressure on him. Definitely won't do 90 today, but he finds Taylor down the wing. Through ball towards Ocon, who loses the header, but he manages to nick it back here high up. Guehi seems to be playing in midfield for Newcastle. Maybe they're desperate in that holding role as Ocon's in from the Demeter pass. Nearly fell off this chair as well. I don't know if that was onside. It's going to be a very close one for VAR. Please let it count because it's a brilliant run and it's the second time he's made it. Goal awarded. Ocon scores and it's 1-0 Manchester United. It is a shame really when you look at it because if we could sign one world-class midfielder, Ocon would be the number 10 in this team. He'd start regularly, Demeter through the middle. Guido would become another option on the right then. We'd have such a good squad. But it's just those 1 or 2 players missing at the moment. As Hervenhoff in, and we've scored a set piece. It's not been taken short yet again. But Hervenhoff, he makes it the only 6-footer in the team. And to be fair, he's done his job there, hasn't he? What a header that is at the back stick. And although that short corner routine isn't working this year, they're not taking them short for anything, no matter what I do. They are definitely leading to more space in the box, which is definitely helping us. As Cardozo scores one of the FM23 classic free kicks. Outswinger, of course the wall doesn't cover the near post. The goalkeeper doesn't think of doing it anyway. I wonder if actually, and I might try it for next season. I know it's a big experiment when it's not costing us that many. I wonder if we could put a player on the near post and see what difference it makes. Because surely it would stop most of the goals, wouldn't it? Let me know if you've tried that down in the comments. But at half time, we lead by 2 goals to 1, and I'm thoroughly pleased with that performance. Gabadis has had a brilliant game in the holding role. Ocon further forward looks an absolute monster. And maybe if we can keep Carlos fit the rest of the year, that would be an option for us moving forward. We've got 10 minutes into the second half with not much happening, and now it's about watching the fitness. There's Clichin on a yellow, Ocon is knackered now as well, and then the likes of Simmons, are they going to do much more? Probably not in truth. We've got 25 to go. We're going to have a look at it in a minute. For the last quarter of an hour, what can we add in here? Duffy is a little bit tired. Jimenez would be a good replacement. He comes on for Ocon. And then who's the best going further forward? Jimenez is natural in there. He can't really finish. Whereas Carlos can't finish either. Gabadis is a better finisher, but he's not a natural number 10. So I think we're going to stick with it for now. We're going to bring on young Adam Hunter for Demeter on the right wing because, again, we want to protect our first teamers a bit. Clichin at centre-half is another one to do that with. I could chuck in Humphreys to centre-half, and at right-back we'll go for Solis, the January sign-in. I want to get the other youngster Walker on as well because he deserves to after coming this way with us. When you look at the likes of Antonio Carlos, he often picks up an injury. So let's take him off for David Walker. We'll also get Simmons off for Duffy. We have got 7 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Been a really efficient performance, and a really dominant one in truth. And in the FA Cup, we've delivered our best. We've been lucky to get the home draws, the classic United home ties. But we win 2-1. We're through to the semi-final. And if other results go our way, we could be the favourites to win this. But now, we're not going to have home advantage. Let's go and see who we're facing. And we'll be back after the international break for Spurs in the Premier League. Well, I'm afraid there's no FA Cup surprises this weekend, and at the very best, we are now third favourites for the trophy. They want Manchester City because it's a day out at Wembley, but let's be honest, West Ham is our only chance of winning. Let's go and get through the draw, see who we're going to be facing. We'll get it on ×3, we'll get through it quickly. Which team are we going to be facing? Out of the hat first is Manchester United. Home dressing room, let's hope that makes the same difference. Who are we going to be playing? It is Manchester City. It's almost like they knew. Oh, and look who's drawn it out. Ceremony host today. We've talked about these in FM before. Carlos Tevez is the ceremony host. And Manchester United managed to draw Manchester City. I'm sensing something a little bit fishy going on here. There we go then. A Manchester derby for the semi-final. I wonder what we're going to be showing next episode. Well, here we go then. Time to turn our attention back to the Premier League and the final big push of the season. If we get it right, we could take United straight back to the Champions League. And if we get it wrong, we've probably still met our objective. So the pressure really is off. A big shout out to Guido before we start, who made his Brazil debut during the international break. But let's have a quick look at the table for where we are. We are third. We are 3 points ahead of Newcastle. 8 to West Ham should be enough, and Spurs have had a shocking season. Only lost 5 games, less than us, but just keep drawing every single week. If you offer me a draw today, I will absolutely bite your hand off for it. Let's go and see if we can get it. The City are held despite Christian Spassov's goal. Let's see how we get on at home to Spurs. We drew 3-3 away from home. They broke our hearts in the Carabao Cup. But as you saw, they lost to Arsenal in the final. So let's see how we get on in this one. 9 changes being recommended. We'll go and see what teams fit, and we'll be back in a minute to run through it. Well, I'm not actually sure off the top of my head how many changes this works out at from the FA Cup tie, so I'm just going to name the team in full. Robles is back in for Finnegan in goal. Duffy's in at right back, Develay right centre-half. Clichin and Simmons keep their places. Ocon drops back into centre midfield alongside the returning Hodgkinson. Guido is back in ahead of them. And then De Buen and Baysal make their return on the wings with Marco Demeter moving back up front. That means on the bench, with us nearly at full strength now, we have got the quality of the likes of Carlos, Taylor, North and Jimenez to change a game. So let's see how we get on in this one. Can we keep our unbeaten home form going? And can we possibly get United into the Champions League? Let's go and find out if we can take a step closer. Well, if I'm being honest here, the main reasons I want to get this done early is partly so we can put some focus on the FA Cup and trying to win a trophy, but also because a lot of you were criticising me earlier in the year, but our stats don't actually look that bad now when you look at the games we've lost and where they were. At home we have been, well, formidable to be honest. I like to keep that up in this one. We've got a former player in Danter up against us. He was with us at Palace. We've got a former England international in Suleiman Usman up front. he is a player we use quite regularly there. He probably doesn't like us after he missed out on the World Cup squad. The same for Jordan Ramsey, their sub-centre half. They've got quality elsewhere too. Let's go and get through to the start of the game. We're going to tell the lads to prove a point. We're going to be at our best first half, and hopefully it'll be enough to get a result. Well, it's been a quiet 20 minutes so far, and as I say that, we pick up an injury. What good timing for it. I was going to say it's a good sign that they're picking up yellow cards. We're maybe getting them under pressure, having more of the territory, or at least showing a threat on the counter. But now we're going to take Simmons off. Duffy will switch to left back with Humphreys on the right. We've had a very settled defence the last couple of months, and it's been a hallmark of our brilliant victories. This time it might be a bit of a worry. No shots on target in the game yet. It's been a pretty quiet one in truth, but you offer me 0-0 at the start, I'd be thrilled. And if we can keep it up till full time, we can avoid having any threat on our goal, I'll be a very happy man as Guido gets down the left. Just got to hope that injury isn't too bad as Pena flies in on a yellow card. Duffy's released down the left, chance to cross. Back into Baysal, the shot's blocked. Moretti brings it away. Half time, it is going to be 0-0. But to be fair, we are the only side with any attacking intent. Pep's going to have to get into his Spurs side. I wonder if he's at risk of the sack because I know first full season he came in, he was brilliant. He won the Premier League with them. But since then, they've been pretty poor. With 10 minutes gone in the second half, they don't really look like having a shot, let alone a goal. Albeit, I've said that and they're on the front foot here. Immediately, I'm going to have to eat my words, aren't I? They do go 50 yards back to the keeper, which I won't complain about. Kabongo into midfield to Adeyinka and Moretti. Wide to Awana on the left-hand side. I remember that name from somewhere too, but I'm not sure where. He gets to the byline, cuts it back to Abubakar. De Bruyne in, flying challenge Moretti. Gets away with it. It's a cracking effort from the edge of the box. And Robles tips it wide. Good goalkeeping there. But a first threat from Spurs, and it would have sort of been our luck, wouldn't it, if they put a screamer in after all of our dominance. Free corner kick, to the back post. Dan tears up, but he's not going to win it. It's out for a throw, and that is the danger past. We're going to encourage the lads. We'll give them 5 more minutes, but there's a few struggling both physically and in terms of performance. Guido's knackered. For the first time, he's travelled with Brazil. He's played football internationally. You've got Baysal, who's played poorly today. After a good run, he does generally struggle in the big games. As Duffy gets down the left, back to Baysal. On cue, he has put a firing effort into the roof of the net. I'm sorry, Amir. I didn't say anything. You're a brilliant player. You're a big game player. And you might have just delivered the winner. I can't have been more wrong on you, could I? 20 minutes to go. Let's make changes. He is knackered anyway. We're going to take Ocon off for Antonio Carlos. We're going to take Taylor on for maybe Guido. I'm not sure what to do with him. No, I'm going to take Baysal off for him. We're going to go Guido replaced by Cabadis. And then finally, it will be Demeter off for Joel North because he's looking nervous. He's not had his best game. And again, he plays a lot during the international breaks. He played that last game too. We're just sort of running him into the ground because we don't have many stars beyond that 11. With 10 minutes to go though, Spurs have had one long distance shot in the whole game. And we have been the dominant force here. And if we win it 1-0, I'm not time wasting because that's backfired before. It would be a fabulous result. And it really is because now, after those difficult away days against the big sides, in every other game we're competitive. And after today, we're through to an FA Cup semi-final. And we might even look favourites for the top 4. Let's go and see what the other results were. And we'll be back in a minute to see when we're going to return. Well, to be honest with you, I couldn't be much more delighted with that performance or result. I'm a bit concerned about this injury because Simmons is now out for the season. He's a fit lad, he's good mentally, he should be back by the summer with aplomb. But we don't want too many of them, and we don't want ones that risk reoccurring, which a calf always can. If we have a look at the Premier League table though, I know some of the others haven't played yet, but it's Arsenal v Newcastle tonight, and one of those is going to drop points. Yes, Chelsea won, but West Ham are getting further away. The top 7 objective is almost there. In fact, it basically is, isn't it, looking at Bournemouth. And then it's just about whether we can get top 5, top 4, and keep progressing through the European competitions. Because the Champions League, well, it would give John Murtow money to spend, wouldn't it? Liverpool look like they're going to end the City dominance as well. Not sure if that's a good thing for United, seeing those two battle it out at the top. But let's have a look at the schedule, because in a moment, we will be coming back to face one of those in 2 days' time. It is Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final, followed by Newcastle at home 3 days later in the Premier League. Do you know what? That's a pretty good double-header to show. Newcastle in 5th, that game will be crucial in a race for the Champions League. Manchester City, can we push for a trophy, or will they be just too good yet again? They've already battered us once in the league. We've got to face them again a couple of weeks later, but we could be on for a trophy and a Wembley final if we're able to get a result in that one. If you want to find out and you did enjoy it, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you've got to say now. I did say I'd prove you all wrong. We've only lost away to the top half teams, and for the rest of this season, we have been so consistent. And if you look back at that run again, bar the Fulham game, not conceded more than one in a game, gives us a real opportunity. I'm hoping we'll be able to build on that next year, maybe get those 1 or 2 sprinklings of gold dust in. But that's up to John Murtow partly, and also us making the Champions League, because the finances are an absolute mess. If you want to stay up to date and find out if we do it, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back here in a couple of days' time with a big FA Cup semi-final in the Manchester Derby. But before that, we've got some international action in our Build a Nation save. It is our first international action on camera in that one. Make sure you don't miss it tomorrow at the usual time. There's also links up in the eye above to the football podcast with loads of clips from Wembley last weekend and some more to come this one too. And there's also the Twitch channel and plenty more in terms of playlists. But thank you very much for watching. Your support is appreciated as always. And I'll see you back here in a couple of days' time for a big game with Manchester United.